Hello, hello. I'm live. It has been a while since I have done a live stream all by myself. I've had guests the last two or three times. So it's exciting that I am here today and I'm going to be talking about my evolution, how France has changed me over the last 7.5 years. It's amazing. So if you can hear me, please type in the chat where you're joining from. If you are new to my channel, my name is Patricia Brooks. I am an American who moved to France, as I said, 7.5 years ago, January of 2018. And it's been a great ride, I have to say. And I've learned so much about myself. I've changed in so many ways that I couldn't have imagined. As I was preparing for this live stream, I'm like, wow, you are a completely different person. All right, I see we've got Edelweiss from San Francisco. We've got Jay Humbert from Cambridge, Massachusetts. And hi, Natina, worth every kilometer traveled from Poland. Yes, yes. And Dion, hi, Dion, from Las Vegas. A couple of members of my program, the Carefree Expat Incubator Program, that I will talk a little bit about a little bit later. All right. So today, um, as I said, I'm going to be talking about my evolution of my life here in France. And Hannah, hey Hannah, and Kristen. Okay, some people who are regulars for my Women Rising Roundtable have joined as well. So glad that you are all here. Um, there's so many things that I want to share with you today. I think I want to start off with how I have gotten so much stronger in my ability to say no. No is not something that it has been easy for me to say. And I think, like a lot of people, saying no can be hard. And that is one of the things that I have gotten so much better about. And in fact, in my second book, there's a chapter that says no is not a bad word. Now, anyway, over the course of the last, I guess, week and a half, I've had to say no two times, and it felt good. It felt easier. The first time was invited to a party on Saturday, and it's going to be after I do a workshop. And I thought to myself, when I was invited, I thought, oh yeah, that's great. That would be great. And then I thought, Patricia, you're gonna be tired. Your introvert self is gonna want some me time and not have to go out and meet people you don't know. So I, respectfully declined. And my friend came back and said, oh, well, if, and I told her why. I told her that I had a workshop. And she said, well, maybe if it ends early enough that you could still make it. And I sat on that for a couple of days because I thought, well, maybe I could, maybe it would be great to go. And I thought about it and I said, no, this just doesn't feel right. And so I replied, no, this is not going to work for me, but thank you anyway. And I kept going and I felt so relieved that knowing that I wasn't going to have to do something that I wouldn't feel like doing when the time came, because I wanted to do it, but it was not something that felt right. And so being able to say no in that instance was great. And that's not the only time. There was a second time on Sunday. I went on a date, and this was the second date, and we had a really good conversation over lunch. And I don't know how the topic got turned to my business and what equipment I should be using that might be better for my business. And I said, no, I think I'm good with what I've got right now. It's not broken. I don't need to change it. And my date was pretty insistent. And I got irritated, but I kept holding my ground. I kept saying, no, that's not something that I need to do right now. And it seemed like he wouldn't take no for an answer. And so the date ended a few minutes later, and I went home. And later, he contacted me, and I just kind of said, yeah, no, this is not going to work out for me. And that felt empowering as well. So that is one thing that I have learned to do, become more okay with saying no and standing my ground and being in tune with what it is that I want so that I can do that. So I see a couple other people have joined. B from Central France has joined. And hi, Robin, another Women Rising Roundtable regular has joined. And AJ from, or Andrea from Illinois. Are you the Andrea from who came to Nice? Um, hello. So that is one thing that I've gotten better at is saying no, holding my ground, standing my ground. And if that's something that you struggle with, if you're a woman and that's something you struggle with, I've got a Women Rising Roundtable. It's called Be Seen, Heard, and Unapologetic that is taking place this Saturday, August 16th from 11 a.m. Eastern to 1:30 p.m. Eastern. And we're going to unpack this. We're going to talk about why it's so challenging to speak up, why it's so challenging to say no, and really give you some tools and a technique that will help you move through this when you want to say something, but then you find yourself biting your tongue. It's going to be a great experience. There are limited slots, and I would love to see you there. So if that sounds like something that you would be interested in, you can go to my website, thecouragecatalyst.com/roundtable, and I'll put this on the screen so you can sign up today. And as I said, we're going to have a great conversation. We're going to learn a lot about ourselves and what keeps us from being able to uh, show up as authentically as we want to. All right. So if that is of interest, be sure to go ahead and sign up now because that's in 2 days. So time is running out. All right. So, and this is a question and answer too. So I'm going to be talking about, okay, the things that I have learned about myself and how I've evolved over the years that I've been here. But if you have questions, be sure to ask them. Oh, and Sharon. Hi, Sharon. Sharon's another member of the Carefree Expat Incubator Program, which is my signature program for single women who are ready to start the next chapters of their lives, living and thriving in a foreign country. I help them to find the confidence and courage and help them create a plan. And there's a community, and it is an amazing program. It's by invitation only. But if that is something that you are interested in, you can apply, and I can drop the link to apply here as well. It's thecouragecatalyst.com/CEI. All right. And I will tell you, we have group coaching calls twice a week. And on every call, one of the women on the call says, this has been the best investment I've ever made. I have learned so much about myself. I am growing. I'm doing things that I never imagined I would do. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, go ahead and go to that link and apply. All right. So I have also grown a lot on the dating front. I spoke about this experience I had with this gentleman on Sunday, where, as I said, he wouldn't take a no for an answer in terms of my wanting to get a different type of equipment for my business. And I said no. But I've evolved in other ways around dating here in France. It's not been the easiest thing to date in a foreign country in a foreign language. So I want to share some stories about what that has been like. My first time dating here in France was in 2018. As I said, I moved here in January, and I think I started dating or getting on the online dating sites in May of that year. And the first challenge was creating a profile, because creating a profile in English is hard. What do I say about myself? But then you have to create it in a foreign language. And back then, my French where was not where it is today. And so writing about myself in French, something that is like an ad, really felt hard. But I did it, took a long time. I started dating. I went on a couple of dates. And I think the third date that I went on was somebody who I thought, this is interesting. Maybe we could have a future together. And nice guy. And he didn't speak any English, although he thought he spoke better English than I did French, which was not the case. And we dated for about 2.5 months, maybe 3 months. And that ended because he was sick. He had kidney disease, and he had said that, he didn't want to drag me down. He didn't want me to bring into that situation, which I appreciated. And so that was my first experience, though. It was like, okay, this could work. It was hard. It was hard communicating. All right, that's 2018. And then I stopped dating for a little bit, because while he had said that he, didn't want to bring me down, I think we saw each other a couple more times, and then he kind of ghosted me. And so that didn't feel good. I'm like, this again. So I stopped dating until probably the end of 2019. And the next year I moved from Perpignan, the city of Perpignan, to a smaller village. So I had my hands full just figuring things out. But by the end of 2019, I was back on an online dating site. And I don't know, I think I might have gone on one date in 2019, and then 2020, I started a conversation with a guy. And I started this conversation when I was in the United States. I had, no, I'm skipping a big piece here. I'm skipping a big piece here that you're going to enjoy. So I did. End of 2019, I connected with a guy, lived in Paris, and he was getting ready to go on a vacation in Greece. And he said, "Oh, well, do you want to meet up in Greece?" And I thought, well, I've never been to Greece. It's not that far. The plane ticket's not that expensive from where I am. Well, why not? So this was something that I'd never done before. But I thought, well, I'll go to Greece, go on a date if I like him. Maybe there could be a future. If I don't, I'm in Greece and I can explore on my own. So I booked my hotel room. I booked my flight. And I got there, and his plane was delayed. I think there was some sort of strike in Paris. So I got there way before he did. But that first night we did go to dinner, and it was just really crystal clear that we weren't a match, just in terms of the things that he would tolerate that I wouldn't, in terms of quality of food. And so we had our date. It was great. He went his way, I went my way. So that was 2019. So moving on to February of 2020, I met somebody, and I started a conversation with him on WhatsApp. And I happened to be in the United States, because against my better judgment, I decided that I was going to go back to the United States, even though there was this disease that was, and this outbreak in the East. I thought, I don't know, should I go? Should I not go? Had a conversation with a friend. In the end, it was my decision, and I decided to go. So here I am in the United States. I met this person online. We're WhatsApping back and forth, and I get stuck in the United States. But the good news was we had conversations daily, video calls, and that helped me to improve my French, because speaking in French every day, that was really great. And from end of February to the middle of May, we spoke every day that way. And then May 19th rolled around. That was a day that I was able to finally get back to France. And he picked me up at the train station. And we dated. So we were really pretty much dating since February until that went sideways in October. So we dated a long time. That's the longest relationship I've had since I got divorced. But I was heartbroken because I thought, oh, this is the relationship that's going to be, long term. And it kind of, met his family, been to picnics, all of that good stuff. I mean, and it was early on too. Like I was back in France, the middle of May. By the end of May, he was inviting me over to a barbecue met his family, met his ex-wife, like met his children, all of that. But toward the end, he really wasn't open to, communicating with me when he was babysitting his grandson. And that was something that didn't sit right to me because of a relationship I had years earlier where I was I was I was not able to answer the phone in the apartment that I was living in because my boyfriend hadn't told his parents that he was shacking up with me. And so that kind of harkened back to that, and that didn't go over well. And we broke up over that. I couldn't believe it. But we did, and he went his way, I went my way, and for the next couple of months, I was heartbroken, and what I realized that there was this attachment to uh, the idea of dating a French guy because my life in France might be easier because I might have a built-in community, right? His friends would become my friends, all of that, and that kind of went by the wayside. So I didn't date for a while after that. And then when I started dating recently, after a long break, um, these last two dates, or the first two dates I've had since I've thrown my hat back in the ring, have been really good in terms of how I am showing up and what I am looking for, what I'm expecting um, from myself and from a relationship. I'm not looking for somebody to ease my way into a new country because I've already done that. I've got situated with a business, and I've got my own friends. So it's really now, being on these dating sites and going on dates is really more, it's a lot more fun, a lot more playful, just to kind of say, okay, go on this date and see where it could go. If we decide we want to do something longer term, we can. And if we decide, oh no, she's not going to listen to me and tell me when I tell her she needs to buy this piece of equipment, yeah, it's not going to work out. So, and that feels really good. That is an evolution of being. I, I don't even know how to put it, how to describe that, but that feels really good. So that's one piece of the evolution of my dating. But the other piece of the evolution of my dating is that 2018 I started, and writing my profile was hard. Writing my profile in French was hard. This time, I guess I started dating. I started on this app about a month ago, and writing my profile was easy. It was a piece of cake. I was like, wow, your French language skills really have come a long way. And the date that didn't go well this week was with an English speaker, but the first date that I had this year was with a French speaker who did not speak English. So that date was completely in French. I think I spoke one word of English for a word I wasn't really sure how to say. And it was great. It was just such a rewarding experience to have come that far from the stumbling of the first date to that last date. Just incredible, and it feels really, really good. All right, so I have said a lot. So I've evolved in my ability to speak up and say no. I've evolved in my ability, my with dating and being clear and authentic and not needy, right? Just showing up, um, and not being attached to the outcome of a date, right? Really, really powerful lessons, really, really good experiences. I'm going to check the chat. I haven't been checking. Jose Lito Williams from Chicago joined. Let's see. Would you say people pleasing is what is usually behind? Okay, there's a question. So B asks, would you say people pleasing is what is usually behind not being able to say no? I think so. I think that there is, I think women can be socialized to not say no. I think there is an element of not wanting to have that conflict, and that I guess could be an element of people pleasing. Is like, oh, I just really don't like how it feels. That conflict feels. So I'd rather just say yes. I think for me, the reason that I'm more able to, because it's still a work. It's not something that is the simplest thing for me to do, but I know that when I do it, when I say it, I just feel so much better. Has been my having my mantra. I have a guiding principle, and I've shared this in videos before, where I believe that life is not meant to be a struggle. And struggle for me is effort laced with negative emotions. And those negative emotions can feel like anxiety or stress, or something just doesn't feel right inside of me. And when I feel that, that's a sign for me to say, wait a minute, something's not right here. And that moves me through. Um, I think self-esteem is another reason that people struggle to say no. That could go back to people pleasing too, right? Because if I say no, then they might not like me and all of that stuff. So there's a lot, I think, that can go behind it. But people pleasing, I think, is a big category there. Thanks for the question. Let's see. Robin says, I love that you never gave up. If once you don't succeed, try again. Yes, I give up sometimes for long stretches. Right, last year, I I got off online dating and hadn't been on for a year and 3 or 4 months, just because the last dating experience, I was just like, if this is the best that I can do, I don't need to be fooling with this. And I was so turned off. I just said, yeah, I'm done. I'm good for a while. But what happened, I think one of the reasons I decided last month to, throw my hat back in the ring was I was dog sitting in La Roque des Albert. And it was the 14th of July, which is Bastille Day, or Fête Nationale, and there were a lot of people in town, in the village, and there was a band that was playing, and the people I was dog sitting for said, "Oh, that band is spectacular. You need to go to that." And so I decided, okay, I'm going to go to this thing. And so as I was walking to the amphitheater, I just saw these families together. I saw couples together, and I thought, that is so nice. I'd like that. And I realized that if I didn't get back on a dating site, um, the chance of my finding somebody would be slim to none. So I just said, okay, it's time to try again. All right. What else do we have here? Okay. Go, go, go global girl entertainment says it's not me. French people move fast and don't really date. They just jump in and then jump out. Thank you for sharing that. All right. Other questions? Edelweiss says that's courageous. If I found myself single again, I think I wouldn't put myself out there. I think there's a point, for me where I'm good single, and then there's a point where it's like, okay, Patricia, it's time to change some things. All right. When women remove the financial insecurity from relationships, it is a freedom most of us never experience. Um, yeah, I don't know if that's true, if most of us never experience that, but for me, and I think that what I was seeking, when I moved to France, I thought, yeah, I'll find a boyfriend here. What I was seeking was perhaps, sharing the rent, like so my money would go a little bit further because when I first got here, I was not working, and so there was kind of like, oh yeah, but once I got solid on that, once I realized, this is not what I'm looking for. That's not what I need. Um, and creating my own community as well. That was empowering as well. So, thank you, Cynthia Marie. Your honesty is really quite engaging and uplifting. You're welcome. Well, I've got a story to tell, so I might as well share it. All right. All right. So B is says socially, I find it easier in Paris or the bigger cities. In the small city I am in now in central France, compatibility is a big issue when it comes to dating. To be honest, I have given up on it. Oh, I think you've got something there, right? I'm on the dating site. Perpignan is 35 minutes away, and that's where most of the men that I see that are coming through are from. Well, the problem with where I am is, yes, it's a smaller village, and there could be like compatibility issues in terms of, I don't know, just compatibility issues. But the other thing that is challenging is I'm right at the border of Spain. So these apps, they know where you are, and so they have this perimeter, this diameter, or this radius, um, and so sometimes they're showing me people who are in Spain and who are Spanish or Catalan, right? And I'm like, 2 years ago when I was going down the path of learning Spanish, that could work. That could have worked. Now that I have put Spanish on the back burner, I'm like, I know French. So unless the person who's living in Spain speaks English or French, yeah, that's not going to work for me. uh, Kristen has asked me, do you find that you have relationships with expats or mostly French people? I know that as Americans, we can make friends faster. So, I, this kind of speaks to my next point about my next evolution, which is learning French. um, in the beginning, I kind of shunned English speakers because my goal in moving to France was to become fluent in French. And I knew that if I was hanging out with a bunch of English speakers, that would hamper my progress. I might just take the easy route out and just say, oh, yeah, this is so much easier. So in the beginning, the first couple of years, I had some English speaking friends, but I was not seeking them out. Um, but as I got more comfortable with my French language skills, and I felt like, oh no, Patricia, you're solid here. Go ahead, open up your, open up the gates and be friends with whoever or whomever. Then I have a good mix. Uh, I think that I'd probably say maybe 60-40 French friends to or French relationships to English speaking friendships, relationships. So, good question. All right. So, evolution part number 3. And that is my language skills. When I got here, I could speak French a little bit. I studied the Pimsleur method before I got here. So I felt comfortable in saying words. Like I think a lot of times when we learn a new language, we're studying the grammar, our head's in a book, and we're not actually practicing. But with the Pimsleur method, I was speaking, phrases and words, every day, and so that was helpful. And I was also hearing the conversation and the prompts in French that helped me. But the problem was that when I was in France, everything was so fresh and new, and I was so out of my element that I couldn't really think very clearly. So I was in situations where what I knew in my head, it just didn't come out of my mouth. And so that was really frustrating. And I had really hesitated to take a French language class because I didn't want to go back to school. I've had enough schooling, and I thought, oh, yeah, I don't want to do that. But I realized that while I could speak it, I could speak French and I could understand slow spoken French, I really couldn't read or write it, and that I really needed to get into school. And so I signed up for class. I took about a six month class. The first month was intensive every day, 9 to noon every day, and just to get us talking and familiar with the language. And then it went down to 2 days a week, and that was really helpful as well. I took the TCF exam after that course, and I this was one where it didn't have a cap on the level, so you could see where you were at each in each category. And I think my reading was the highest. I think it said I was a C1, which wasn't true because I tried to study for a C1 exam, and I couldn't really read what it took. But for speaking, I was probably B1. I don't remember exactly. For oral comprehension, that was the thing that came last for me. People would speak so fast, and I'd understand a word here and a word there. I just couldn't understand. Sometimes I think I heard an English word in there, and that was the last thing to click, but it did. And when it did, it was like, it was incredible. Yeah, so I just kept at it, and I, had did language exchange, conversationexchange.com. I still have a conversation exchange partner. We're really good friends now, and that helped me. And I think the other thing that was really, really pivotal in moving my language skills to the next level, because I think you can get to a certain level where you can get by and you feel comfortable, but you're really not fixing mistakes that you're making. You're not adding vocabulary. You're not learning nuance, that sort of thing. The thing that got me going, and I recommend this to anybody who's learning a new language, is decide to take an exam that's going to test you and that's going to put your back up against the wall, so you got to study. Because that's what I did earlier this year. I took the DELF exam. I'm at a B2 level, and I passed it. And I It was hard, but I'll tell you, in January, when I realized how they were going to test me, that I was going to have to do a 7 minute, I call it a speech, and I needed to argue a point. Yeah, that felt hard. And fortunately, I have a French friend, Jordi, who was teaches English and was really helpful in having me debate him, and that was really helpful. But deciding to take an exam to get you going and motivated that, oh yeah, on this date I'm going to be sitting for this exam, so I can't drag my feet, I need to be serious about this, was so helpful. And I think, and don't quote me on this, but I think next year I want to sit for the C1 exam, because it just really, it forces you to push yourself. And it's just, to me, it's just such a wonderful experience just to be able to speak another language. So that's my and as I said, being able to go on a date and be calm and speak a foreign language, just incredible, just incredible. So the fourth way that I have evolved living here in France is, and I mentioned this earlier, is that I guess back in 2011, 2012, I read this quote from Stuart Wilde, that life was not meant to be a struggle, right? And I decided that I wanted to live that. I wanted to not feel stressed all the time or have that low grade anxiety all of the time. And that statement was the first thing that made me aware of, oh, wait a minute, this feels like struggle. Oh, wait a minute, what's going on for me? And that awareness has helped me to, get to where I am today, where I'm living, I guess, a good part of the time not in struggle, not adding things like saying no, because saying yes creates that struggle. And so having that as a guiding principle has really helped me to get to this equanimity or calm that I feel, and that people have told me. They've said, "Oh, Patricia, your voice is so calming," or "There's something about you." And to me, that is the biggest compliment. So, and it's, I think it's moving to a foreign country creates situations that feel like struggle, right? It's not easy, right? When there's the language barrier or the cultural differences that don't make sense. Just the other day, I had a coaching call, and it ended at 7 o'clock, and the store said they closed at 7:30. So I got there at 7:15 and was turned away. And it was just like, Patricia, you're not in the States anymore. And it wasn't a problem for me. I recognize that could very well happen, but it's just those things that just rub up against you, right? Those things can make life feel like a struggle. But to get to a place in France where those things are feeling like less of a struggle, where I'm just coming to terms with them and just going with the flow, it's just amazing, just amazing. So let's see what we got in the chat. So if you got some questions for me, be sure to ask me. And let's see. Cynthia Marie says, I'm a proponent of conversational French. The grammar isn't necessary in the beginning. Feeling comfortable putting sentences together, phrases that people can understand. Yes, and I think that's what the Pimsleur method does for you. It gives you these words and phrases that you're going to need to know when you are in a foreign country, be it France, whatever language you're learning. It's the things that you're going to need to be able to say to get by, and understand what the responses could be. I'm going to put a link to Pimsleur method. I'm going to share a little bit about the Pimsleur method because it's been a game changer. This is not a really good link. Let me put the link in the chat. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. So the Pimsleur method is an audio program where you listen to a 30-minute lesson. And what I did was I went on my morning walk, put my headphones in, and I listened. And I would repeat the prompts out loud. If I was passing somebody on the street, didn't matter. I was saying the words out loud because there's something about speaking those words. And over the course of, and it's time-space repetition. So, the first couple of lessons you take, it's the same thing you hear, right? But that third lesson, they add something new. That fourth lesson, they're calling back to something you learned in that first lesson. And in, lesson 9 or 10, you haven't thought about something they said in lesson 2, but they're asking you to repeat it or say the phrase. And out of nowhere, you've got that expression or that word, it. And for me, it's like, where did that come from? I didn't know that a couple of weeks ago. Where did that come from? So it's like magic to me. So that's why I think it's so great. I put a link to my affiliate link in the chat, being transparent. If that's something that you're interested in looking into, I believe that you can get a free lesson or maybe a free week, but check it out. I swear by it. All right. Let's see what other comments there are. Edelweiss. All right. I really enjoyed your video on competitive advantage. Even with my professional experiences, I have found it challenging to identify what that would be. Goal, be my own boss so I can take that abroad. Okay. So, I think a competitive advantage, and the video she's talking about, back in the spring, I went to a project management conference here in France, and it was a great conference. It was all in French, and one of the speakers was talking about she'd been in business, and then she started she stopped doing that, and she became entrepreneurial, and she was a pianist, and so she was doing her speech and she was playing the piano and she was doing her speech. It was just tremendous. But at one point, she was talking about what's your competitive advantage. And hers had been, she'd been, like I said, in business. She had been a salesperson in business. And so the first months that she started in that, this was something that her father suggested she do. She go to school and get a commerce degree. And she did. And then she got this sales job. And it was hard for her, knocking on doors, and being told no. But she did it, and she managed over the course of the time to get a thick skin and be successful in that business. But then she changed to become an entrepreneur, where she had to sell herself and her services. And it was hard. But she asked herself, what's my competitive advantage? And she's like, got a thick skin. I know how to insert myself. I know how to assert myself. And through doing that, she got a really good meeting with somebody who would be helpful to her business. And so that was the impetus for my talking about what's your competitive advantage in that video, because to me it was so powerful. And at the end of last year, I started to bring my project management into my business, because I help people from, on the mindset side of things. But I hadn't really tapped into, how moving abroad is a project. And not everybody is good at figuring out what the steps are and when to do what, and the accountability piece of all of that. And so I started to use that more in what I do now. I actually have a service called Exit Strategy Planning, where I use that. So getting back to competitive advantage, how do you figure that out? I think it's a matter of thinking about, maybe it's something that you do that you think everybody is good at. I think it comes down to, oh yeah, well, I'm good at project management, but isn't everybody? No, right? So the thing that maybe your competitive advantage is something that you think that everybody else has, but that you do well, and that everybody else doesn't have. Sometimes it's really obvious. So take that as a tip. Um, and I think this question might be going to also to the question of, what could my business be? Perhaps advice. Let me know if that's what you're going for. Uh, how does one go about making a donation? Please help. Thanks. So I do have a PayPal. I do have on my homepage of my YouTube. I do have a donation button. And I also have PayPal. I don't have a link that I can give you right now. But if you are interested in that, you can also shoot me an email, and I can give you the PayPal link as well. So this is my email. I appreciate that. All right, so I just put my email. Let's see what else we got. Let's see. Miss Sierra 222. I watch TV and listen to folks in cafes and metros to get the cadence and to get comfortable speaking. Yeah, watching TV shows and listening to people, like there is something about it, and there's just a way that there are turns of phrases that are in French that aren't in English, and vice versa. It's just a matter of acclimating yourself to that, and trying some things on for size. And our brains are really interesting, because you might hear something again and again, but never kind of adopt it as your own until one day you hear yourself saying something that sounds really French. And that feels good too. And if you want to watch, TV shows, and you're not, in France already, the French channel is the number one streaming service for French programming, and I can put a link to that as well. Um, and if you're interested, you can get 15% off using the promo code Patricia 15. But what French channel is, it's all things, all French programming, French movies, French TV shows, French documentaries. There are children's programs as well, and so many of them do have subtitles, some English, some French, and that can help as well. So listening, watching TV, watching movies, when French TV series is a great way to go about that as well. All right. Let's see, where am I with the chat? All right. Je suis si fière de toi pour ton journée avec la langue. J'espère être bientôt à ton niveau. Cela demande tellement de dévouement et de cohérence avec lesquels je lutte quotidiennement. Exactement, exactement. I am so proud of you with your language journey. I hope to be at your level soon. This demands a lot of devotion and commitment that I fight against every day. Keep it up. What's your why? Why do you want to speak French? Put that front and center. That will help. That will help. Hi, Laura. You're late, but you're here. You're here. Welcome. So glad you could make it while we're still live. If you are watching live, or in the future, give this video a thumbs up so more people can see it and get the word out. I appreciate that. Let's see. This is a response to my question. Yes, I've looked into getting coaching to help me sift through it. Identifying it would definitely help me than identifying a business track. Yes. So, one of the things that I do offer in coaching is not the business coaching from once the business is launched and ready to get to the next, 25 or 100,000, but the foundational and structural. So, the brainstorming of, okay, what are you good at? What are you good at and you like? What are you good at and you like that you would like to start a business with? And that's just a series of questions that I ask, activities that I go through. So if that's something that you're interested in, be sure to schedule a complimentary session so we can talk about what it is you're looking for and if what I offer is something that could truly help you. And you can do that by going to thecouragecatalyst.com /future expat. Where is that? Oh, here we go. All right. Let's see the chats. Thanks for giving a thumbs up and subscribing. Yes, and if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Please subscribe. What questions do you have for me? Because we still got a little time. All right. Well, I think that one thing that I do want to share is that moving this whole evolution, the 4 things: being able to say no and stand my ground, the idea of dating and sticking with it and coming back to it and getting better at dating, in a foreign language, all of that. It's amazing. The language skills, and really getting to a place where I'm able to deal with the things that feel challenging in a way that allows me to keep my calm. All those things are things that I have been that my move to France has helped me improve on. And moving abroad is something that people want to move abroad for so many different reasons. But one thing that I think most people, if they're here for the long term, that they gain is it's a personal development, personal growth program. Because, as I said, those things that you're set in your ways for certain things, and things are different, is going to test you. And but it's the other side of that is being successful and feeling good where you are after having gone through all of that. That makes sense. Yeah. All right. So Laura S says, how about oh, wait a minute. Oh, I clicked one and read another. So Laura S asks, how did you decide on the area that you're living in now? So I came on 2 scouting trips. The first, well, I came to France 3 times before I moved here. The first time was I had been considering moving to Quebec City in Canada, but then I realized that I wouldn't be able to deal with the winters. And so in 2015, I came to France for the first time, and I went to Paris and I went to Aix-en-Provence. And I thought, yeah, maybe I could live here in France, but those 2 places, weren't speaking to me. And so I came back in 2016, and that's when I did a tour of France. I went to Toulouse first and Toulouse was a nice town, but I didn't have that feeling to me. But while I was in Toulouse, I took a day trip to Perpignan. And when I got there, it was an ugly day. It was chilly. It was drizzly. It was in May. But when I got there, I got out of the train station. I just felt like, oh my gosh, where am I? It just felt so good to me. And so I thought, oh, this could be the place. It was a day trip. It was a Sunday, so everything was closed. I didn't know at that time that stores wouldn't be open. But got back on the train, went to Toulouse, and then on to Lyon, and I couldn't stop thinking about Perpignan. So I came back to Perpignan for a couple of days and nights to kind of see if what I felt was real. And that's where I started. My first year was in Perpignan, and the reason I left Perpignan was because I walked around Perpignan up one way and down the other. And I couldn't find the neighborhood that felt right to me. I was looking for a neighborhood that had, the boulangerie and the sidewalk cafe, and I didn't want to be in the center of town. I just didn't find that place that neighborhood that felt right to me. And so I decided to go a little bit further out. And first couple of months here in France, I came to Surrey because my French teacher at that French school, she lived here and she would talk about Surrey. And one of my French classmates said, "Oh yeah, I've been to Surrey. It's a nice town." And so I went. And he said, "Oh, they have a really nice market on Saturdays." So I came to the Saturday market and I was like, "Oh yeah, this is a nice town, you know." But it wasn't anything that I thought, "Oh yeah, I have to live here." It wasn't until the end of my first year when I was looking for a place outside of Perpignan that I came back. And it really was, it was like, it was nice, but it wasn't that aha moment that I had in Perpignan. But I thought, I'll try it, right? It's close to the mountain. And I decided that I wanted to go closer to the mountains rather than closer to the Mediterranean Sea, because that was the choice that I had. I was in Perpignan and I could go to the Mediterranean or I could go to the foothills of the Pyrenees. And the mountains felt more grounding. I tried it, and the rest is history. So, good question. Now, this was the question I thought I was going to show. How about helping restart a business in France? Um, I would have to kind of hear, what it is, what the business is, and what the structure would be, because the coaching I do is really about, okay, well, what is it that you're going to do? And it's and often around, like, what are you going to teach somebody, right? And then, okay, well, is there a market for that? You doing the market research and, guiding you through the market research process. And then, if it's structured kind of like my business, where there's online lessons and there's group coaching, then that's sort of the structure that I work with people on, and getting them to that place where they are ready to launch their beta, where they test it out live before they actually package up the lessons into an online course. So that restarting a business in France, that's not necessarily my thing. But if you're thinking about doing a business that's kind of structured like that, where you're teaching somebody something or coaching somebody something, then perhaps. All right. Hope that answers that. Um, oh, I didn't put the TV subscription in the chat. I can do that. Let's do that. France channel. Let's see, where are you? This. Let's do this. All right, there you go. Let's see, I'm getting lost here. Go global, girl. Entertainment. Who shouldn't move abroad? Is there a pattern that you see in people who tried but it wasn't for them? Um, I think I think it's I often talk about, knowing what your why is, so in a deeper why, not that, oh, I just, I like the French food, or what's driving you to want to live in the foreign country you want to move to, and not only what's driving you to want to be here, but what are you running toward? Because there are a lot of things that we might not like about our lives, our current lives, wherever we are, and we can tend to say, oh, well, if I move even just to another city, oh, that's gonna make my life better. When in fact, wherever you go, there you are. So I think, in a nutshell, I think that's it. Like, if you are moving abroad to solve some problems that uh, you think that a change of scenery will help, that's probably not a good reason. I know that I have a friend who moved to Belgium, and this is years ago, and she and her husband were having marital problems. But she thought, or maybe both of them thought, that, oh, if we move, that will help things, and it only made things worse. I think also people who are not willing to be open to a different way of life, like, because that is, at the end of the day, that's what you're going to be doing. You are going to be up against things that are different, that feel hard, that feel stupid, that feel inefficient, and it's not for everybody. I also think that getting some people may struggle to stay if they have the homesickness. And I think that, what I do is kind of like preventative medicine. Like, people who are planning on moving abroad, I help them to, see the things that they might struggle with, and help them to build new habits or thought patterns that will allow them to be more resilient. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I think those are a few of the things that I would say. What is it that you are running toward? And if you think that moving abroad is going to solve your problems, yeah, no, no. It's just going to make things harder. Let's see. Huh. Jules, thanks for the question. After 7 years, do you feel more French now? I think in some ways, I do. It, and I think it's maybe it's even in the saying no, getting better at saying no, because the French are famous for saying no, c'est pas possible, all of the time. So maybe just being around, people who say no a lot and getting a lot of no's has made me feel like, oh, I can say no too. I think more French in that, like that example when I said I went to the supermarket and I got there at 7:15. The store closes at 7:30. Line, really long line, and I walked in the door and he's like, "We're closed." And I just kind of, said, "Okay, right." It was just, it was normal for me. It wasn't the Um, other ways, how do I feel more French now? I think because I speak French, because I'm able to date in French. I'm able to have a French date. And yes, in that way, I do. Um, I mean, in other ways, not. Right? In other ways, not. I've got my air conditioner on. Right? Oh, here's a way that I'm more French. It's been really hot here the last couple of days. And I don't like being in a dark apartment. The apartment I have has such beautiful light. Like, and a lot of the houses here kind of are cave-like, and that to me doesn't speak to me. But what the French do to keep the heat out is we have these shutters. Um, and they close the shutters in the day to keep the heat out or keep it a little bit cooler. And this week, my shutters are closed. Right? I'm just like, yeah, this is what you do. I get it. I'll be in the dark. So I think there's some ways that I am, and I don't know. That's a really good question. I'll have to think about that. Maybe that's a video. Maybe after 7 years, am I more French now? Ah, let me write that down. I need a video for next week. Or how am I more French now? Let me write that down. Thank you. Thank you for the idea. Ah, look who's here. Hey, Jeff, my friend in Perpignan. No worries, you're here. You got here. You're going to be here for a couple more minutes. We've got Jeff and I are planning something for, I think we said the beginning of October. Um, should I say it? Should I say it? I'm going to say it. We're planning to do a meetup in Perpignan. Details to be announced later. All right. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. Yeah, and Jeff and I did a live stream together a couple months ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago now. If you haven't checked that out, be sure to check it out. Go to my YouTube channel, click on the live tab, and you can see it there. So check it out. And if you don't know Jeff the expat, he's got a wonderful YouTube channel. So go check him out too. All right. Ah, Jesse, thank you. Happy to make your live. You look fabulous. Thank you. Thank you. Always love to hear that. Oh my gosh, there's lots of questions here. All right, rocking and rolling. All right. And I want to say this. So the beginning of this live stream, I talked about my Women Rising Roundtable that's happening on Saturday. I don't know that I shared this, how to, this is a link that if you're interested in signing up for that, you can go to. It's Be Seen, Heard, and Unapologetic. And it's about being able to speak up in situations when you feel like you want to say something when but you want to bite your tongue, or being able to say no more easily with less guilt. And we're gonna dig into the topic. We're gonna journal. We're gonna have a great conversation. We're gonna learn a technique to help you when you're in those moments when you want to speak up, but you find yourself, censoring yourself. It's going to be a wonderful time. So, thecouragecatalyst.com/roundtable. Only 2 days are left, and spots are limited. So, if you are interested, the time to sign up is right now. All right, get back to the questions. I didn't want to forget that. Where am I? Miss Sierra 222. Moving abroad. Your level of determination is really important. Yes, you gotta want it every day. Sometimes multiple times a day. It's a difficult process, but worth it. I did it 20 years ago. I don't know if I had to do it again now. I don't know if I could. Yeah, people ask me, "Are you going to stay in France? The rest of your life?" And it's my right now. I don't have any intention of moving anyplace else, especially since I'm just settled, right? I'm just like, okay, got the language, I built the community. I don't want to have to pick up and start over from scratch. It's not an easy process, but I was determined. It was something that I really felt inclined to do. Intuition was telling me you need to get to France. For what reason? Wasn't really sure, but I was like, got to get here, got to do it, and now like that's the topic of my next book, which I'm still working on. I've been working on this thing for a long time, but I'm encouraged because I've been listening to some authors, some podcasts about writing and the writing process, and it's not necessarily a quick thing. So um, and where I am today is it's such a so much better of a book than it was in January because it's deeper. It's yeah. I can't wait to get this out. I can't wait for this to be done. But um, but why did I have to move to France? Why all of a sudden, at 51, I do this crazy thing? Stay tuned for the book. All right. Um, give Joel credit. Did I not give Joel credit for? Oh, for the idea. Yes. All right. Let's see where we are. Keeping up with these comments isn't easy. Um, yep. Yeah, your problems will follow you. Yep. And you'll have more of them. Right. um, got that, got that. Um, all right. Some things are better, cheese, for example, and the bread, right? And some things are not, the bureaucracy, very little, if any, AC. Yeah, I mean, you got to take the good with the bad. And which is why you gotta want it, right? You gotta know what you're what you want, what's your why, what are you going to gain from this? Because if it's there was an article, CNN article, 7 or 8 months ago where the couple there was a couple who moved to France, and in less than a year's time they were headed back because they thought the celery was limp here, and like there was just that the fact that they hadn't made friends but hadn't put in the effort to learn the language, like a lot of things. So you've got to really dig down and know why, and then if it's for you, if it's something that you truly want to do, then go for it. You got me. Do you feel like you have been influenced by French fashion? um, I laugh because, well, I am not a fashionista. Like, I am just, I am not. But I laugh because when I first got here, when I first moved to France, I noticed that like the shirts and the jeans and the skirts all seem to have rhinestones on them. This shirt that I'm wearing now, you probably can't see it, but the butterflies. They're, well, it's old now, so some of them have fallen off, but had rhinestones on it. And I'm not a rhinestone kind of gal. And that was kind of really like, why does everything have rhinestones on it? And I have a friend who is a Francophile, and she's like, I don't remember, and she lived here for a year. I don't remember the clothes having rhinestones on them. So maybe it's this area. But now, if clothing has rhinestones on them, I just buy it and I don't even notice it anymore. So that's why I laugh. So maybe it has. I like plain sneakers. I don't like the sneakers that have the, the flash on it. So um, a little bit, a teeny weeny bit. Um, I'm not really clear on this. I'm really clear on this, but I'll post this. I think you really need to be open that people are different, but not stupid. Forgive me for being so blunt. People are different. I guess, and I don't know. Maybe you're commenting to something. Maybe there's a comment to something else. Maybe I'm out of the loop. So please tell me more if that is for me. All right. Other questions? Ah, this is a good one too. J.S. Carter, I've heard you talk about the French lack of personal space, i.e., people standing too close to you. Are you feeling more comfortable with this in your seventh year? Um, I still like it's. I still like my space, right? But it doesn't trigger me the way that it used to. Um, I recognize that it's going to happen, and I think there are two places where I know it's going to happen: at the grocery store, which is where I just kind of take my deep breaths and allow that to be right, which gets me through. And then like on the sidewalks and in the streets, it just often will seem like people will make a beeline directly to you, even if there's a little bit of space. It just feels like, yeah, I'm not moving. Like, and so I'm the one that will tend to move just because I like to have my space. So um, I think it's gotten better, but I'm not inching up on somebody to be closer to them. I'll put it to you that way. Great question. Uh, all right. Let's see. Yeah. All right. Um, what is the what is the most French thing I do now? I don't know. And then, so I'm gonna. I promise you, I am going to do a video for next week. Um, After 7 years, am I more French now? And I will answer that. The most French thing I do. Okay, I'll add that to the video because I don't know. And I think I'd have to ask a friend also because, like, as I've changed over the years, it's been a gradual process. So something that I do that might seem French is something that maybe I'm not even aware of, right? So I'm really gonna have to put some thought into this video for next week. Hi, Rider Skater. I'm glad you're here too. Be sure to, if you haven't already, give this video a thumbs up. Okay, here we go. Here's some clarification from Jay Humbert. Um, I've seen Americans really think French folks can be stupid because they don't do some things the same way Americans do. And the French way seemed not smart. It's too bad. Yeah, it's just a different way. It's different, right? Different, not wrong, not stupid, not better or worse. It's different. I agree, but it can be, if somebody is not open, right? I mean, I think that comes from not being open or not recognizing there's more than one way to do something, and it is that's the situation. So, thanks for clarifying. Some Americans, yes. uh, all right, here we go. What do I think about the current rush of folks wanting to move out of the U.S.? Um, I get it. I mean, uh, it seems like being in the U.S. is not a comfortable place to be in. But the question somebody asked earlier, what is, do you have I noticed anything that would signal somebody would struggle in making a move abroad? Again, it's a matter of really understanding what you're doing, that it's might seem like an easy solution, but it might not be the easiest. So just really caution uh, that this is the way to the way to go. It may be the way to go, but be aware that it's not a simple solution. So, hope that answers your question. Let's see. All right. Don't worry about it, Jay Humbert. Yes, we understand where you're coming from. It's not just Americans. It could be other people who have that. No worries. Yep. Will Barnes, is it okay to mention the weather to a stranger? I like to talk to strangers out of the blue sometimes. Mm. Well, I mean, I think it depends on the situation, the setting, right? Because a lot of times, French people are just, you know, that's, the small talk or the chit chat is not the thing that they do. But I've been in situations where, we do have a lighthearted conversation. So I think it really depends on the situation. Um, and it probably doesn't answer your question. I think you just have to play it by ear. And if they respond, they respond. If they don't, they don't. Um, I don't know the answer to this. Do the French have a common impression of Americans? I can't answer that. Maybe somebody in the chat has some ideas. I don't. I think it depends a lot on the French person, or maybe even the area, that they're in. Like somebody who is around a lot of Americans may have one impression, and somebody who's not been exposed may have another. So, uh, anybody, feel free to comment on this. Yeah. Am I getting closer to attaining French citizenship? So the story goes that the first week of September, me and a friend, Wendy, who is from the US, who wants to go for French citizenship, we are going to meet, and we are going to be accountability buddies, because um, I will need to gather the paperwork, the documentation. I have the French language level, so I'm good, solid with that. Starting in January, that level. Uh, will go from a B1 level to a B2 level. So I have that. But it's an intimidating process to kind of feel like, yeah, I'm asking permission to be, a French citizen. And so I can feel myself kind of like, well, maybe I'll just wait a little bit. But now I have that friend that I'm going to be working with. So I'm going to just really collect the information that I need and kind of set a line in the sand to say, okay, these are the things I need, and this is the date by which I would like to submit my documentation. So that's where I am. So I'm taking a little bit of a step to actually do something instead of talk about it. Just talk about it. Here, thank you for coming to the rescue. Just a notice that subtle changes like my earrings. Well, I've always worn earrings, but maybe I don't know, are they bigger? Or are they, um, and that I wear light clothes, light colors. Okay. And yes, I've had fresh flowers a few times. So, and that is something that I think more French people do. My mom had fresh flowers all of the time. And I really was like, why are you going to get cut flowers? They're just going to die. That was my attitude. But they really do make a difference in my living space. So I do appreciate them more. So good observations, Jess. Yes, thank you, Cynthia, for joining. I'm glad you enjoyed this conversation. All right. If I had to do it again, what would I change about my move to Europe? Um, there are a couple of things. I think the first thing would be that since I came on a sabbatical, didn't really call it that, but I had quit my job and hadn't planned on working. I think I would have set a timeline. Okay, after 12 months, I'm going to seriously start figuring out what my game plan is to earn money. I kind of had savings that I could live on, and so I decided to do that for 2.5 years, which was a little long because I really had started thinking about starting my own business. But I just think, oh, I'd be a little bit further along if I had done that. So just really being more intentional with that would have been one thing. And then I think the second thing just has to do with my stuff. I would have just shipped my belongings in the first year. I would have, I didn't because, and I didn't have a ton left over. I got rid of most of my stuff, but there were some sentimental things that I wasn't sure what to do with, and time was running short. So I decided to get a storage uh, shed or storage locker, small one, storage unit, and didn't deal with it. Got the low teaser rate, and then it went up, and the price went up, and the price went up. And so I had that for a couple of years. And like, I could afford to ship some things, and I did eventually, but I was afraid that it was going to be too expensive. I didn't even look into it. And then so I paid for storage, I paid for shipping, and I paid for import taxes because I did not ship in the first year. So that's another thing. So those are two things I think I would have done differently. All right. All right. They have French have some thoughts about Americans or some general ideas or ways of thinking about us. They think we are loud and obnoxious. Yeah, I fit that. But they also admire America and appreciate the link dating back to World War II. Um, It's a love-hate relationship that's very subtle. Yes, when I was in Normandy a couple years ago, that stood out to me. That down here in the South, I don't feel that admiration for Americans, but in Normandy, it was just like, thank you, right? Just incredible, incredible gratitude. So good, good ones. B, thank you. Um, Jules asks, do you have to give up your American citizenship to become a for French citizenship? No, I think the rule is that if there is undue, what is the term they call it? If there's undue hardship, financial hardship in doing so, then you don't have to. I think that's the rule, or maybe that's not even necessary. But I think that's what I heard. And like to renounce U.S. citizenship, you've got to pay a couple $1,000s, something like that. So that would, fall under undue hardship, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you go no differently, correct me if I'm wrong. But that's my understanding. All right, let's see what else we got. We got a good conversation going in the chat about how the French see Americans. Here we go. Here we go. Thank you, Igami. And your skin is absolutely glowing. Not sure if it's the French skincare or just your radiant joy. I love you, Igami. Thank you. um, no, so I have used Mary Kay Cosmetics since 1995. And I used to be a sales rep. And they don't sell Mary Kay here in France, but they do in Spain. So I have a Spanish Mary Kay consultant, and a couple of times I've gone down to pick it up. Um, this last time I ordered product from her a couple weeks ago, and it's been just, I'm still waiting on it. With the delivery, sometimes the delivery system is not as effective or efficient here. My package came, but it got sent back. So, but no, so it's not French care. It's Mary Kay and probably a bit of my radiant joy. Thanks, Robin, for joining. Yes, Sue, I will see you on Saturday's roundtable. Looking forward to it. All right. This is, I think this might be true. I think the majority in France who live outside the big cities may not even have the opportunity. So most of the generalization tends to be based on what they see in the news and social media. I feel like where I am, I feel like there's not a whole lot of prejudgment or idea about how I should be. There's curiosity. That's what I found. This is curiosity. Laura S., have I been back in the US since living in France? And if so, do I experience reverse culture shock? I have been a couple of times, not recently. So I feel like there might be even more extreme culture shock now. Um, but there's the culture, and I think I've done a video on this. There was, when I went back to Richmond. I was surprised to see like the gaming machines like in convenience stores. and all of the ads for gambling on sports events, like that to me was like, what the heck is going on here? Um, so that those were things that struck me, and also the time I was stuck in the U.S. and there's COVID. I think I saw a sign on a bank, the front door of a bank that said no guns. Like, I guess people can carry guns, and so they have to put a sign on the bank to say, "Don't bring your gun in here. It's not okay." Um, those were some things that struck me. And I think the other thing was going to a restaurant and being served the meal and having the check plop down. We haven't even started eating and you're giving me the check. Whereas in France, like, you gotta beg for the check, right? I've kind of gone like that, felt uncomfortable. That was something I did experience. So good question. And that might be, well, I can't do it because I haven't been recently. So if I do go back, I might do a video on that. All right. I don't know why this keeps jumping. Um, yes. Have I noticed that when I wake up in the morning, I don't rush anymore and just glad for the day? Um, yeah, when I first moved here, I wasn't working a job, but there was this feeling. I wasn't rushing. I didn't feel like I was rushing, but there was this feeling like, oh, I should be doing something, right? That was the feeling. Now, yeah, I got a ton of things to do, right? And so there's always something for me to do, but I do. Um, I wake up and I just feel better. Like, I wake up and I can see the tops of the mountains, and this just feels really good. And so yeah, I would say yes to that. um, so let's see. Rider Skater, we talked about this a little bit earlier. I'm going to do a video for next week. Emotionally and mentally, I feel more French than American, and does the culture feel more like home? Stay tuned. I'm gonna I I'm gonna do a video on that. Oh, thank you, Nodalities. You're a true inspiration to me as I step into peri-retirement and begin exploring potentially a potentially forever home in France. Thank you. Thank you. Good luck to you, but bon courage. Let's see what else we got. A lot of comments here. If you have not already, please give this video a thumbs up. Uh, uh, oh, another girl, please. Girl, please. I can't even say it right. Patricia, I'm a subscriber and a fan who's been watching quietly for a while. Next month, I'm going on a short look, a see in a few cities in France. Not my first visit to France. Thanks for all you do. How wonderful. How exciting. Yes. I wish you all the best with your exploratory trip. That's so exciting. All right. Oh, thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jeff. You got my back. I appreciate it. just says, you're definitely a French woman now by way of the US. Thanks so much. Thank you. All right. All right. I'm going to wrap it up after this one because we're going on an hour and 40 minutes. Wow. You guys had a lot of questions. Jules asks, have you traveled throughout France? And have you been to Nice? I finally got to Nice in April. So I was talking about that project management conference I went to. That was in Antibes, which is really close to Nice. And so because I'd never been to Nice, I decided to go to Nice and actually had a really neat meetup there. And probably about 10 or 12 people show up. Some people who were already living there, some people were on scouting trips, a couple people who were in my Carefree Expat Incubator program. And so it was a lovely time. And I was surprised. You know, I thought, Nice, everybody wants to go to Nice. What's the big deal about Nice? But it felt good. The buildings were beautiful. It had I don't know, there was something I could see why so many people are attracted to Nice. I've traveled other places in France as well. I'm getting ready actually to go to the mountains next week because it's so hot here. I hope that it's a few degrees cooler. I'm going to be going to a town called Font-Romeu, which is about 3 hours west of here in the Pyrenees Mountains, and it's just a hop, skip, and a jump from the Principality of Andorra. So and I've been there before. Been to Andorra before, but I've been to Font-Romeu before as well. I have been to Agen. I'm getting ready to go to Cognac. I have a friend who's moving. I'm going to help her move in. So I'll be doing that in September. Where else have I been? I've been to Toulouse. I've been to Lyon. I've been to Dijon. Oh, Dijon. I loved Dijon. There's something that had a good feel to it. That had a regal feel to it. I love that. I've been to Annecy. Beautiful, fresh air, clean fresh air. I've been to Strasbourg. Where else have I been? Aix-en-Provence, I said. Paris. I've been to Rouen. Rouen, I think it is, in Normandy. I've been to Omaha Beach. I did go and check that out. So I've been. Oh, I've been to Pau. I've been to Marseille. Right, we had our my Carefree Expat Incubator program. We do meet up in person once a year, and our first one was in Marseille. So I've been to Marseille. Oh, in October, I'm getting ready to go to Avignon as well. So I've been to quite a few places in France. All right. I heard great things about Annecy. Yes, but I recently saw a video about the over tourism there, and it didn't look so pleasant. It's beautiful, but in the summertime, it's probably too crowded. Nope, I've not been to Orléans. Not yet. So, all right. Well, I'm going to wrap it up here. If you are interested in working with me, I offer quite a few things. One-on-one coaching, my Carefree Expat Incubator program, this Women Rising Roundtable that's happening on Saturday. So feel free to join me. Information sessions, 30-minute sessions where you can pick my brain and ask me questions that might be more specific or more specific than you want to ask on a live stream. And in order to find out more If you want to work with me, you want to work with me as a coach, you can go to thecouragecatalyst.com/future expat. But you could also just go to my website, thecouragecatalyst.com, and you can check out all that I have to offer. It's outlined there nicely there. All right. So I want to thank everybody for joining, for watching for so long, for liking, for sharing this video, for all the kind sentiments that you've shared. And I will be doing this again soon. My day of the week, it seems like Thursday is a good day, although this is the day I typically release my video. So maybe I need to change the day I release my video and have Thursday as a day that I could go live, because and a little bit later seems to be working for you as well. So I need to kind of dial that in. Mondays didn't seem to be too good. Tuesdays no longer work for me. I haven't tried Wednesdays, but today was a good turnout. I'm really, really happy with that. So thank you everybody for joining, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Bye-bye.